Hey, what's up, YouTube? How we doing? Pretty frustrating day, not gonna lie. Could have been a pretty decent green day, but we kind of ruined it because of a trade that we shouldn't have taken, which is what you're looking at here on ACVA. And the reason we shouldn't have taken it is if we zoom in, you will see the volume was what 150,000 on the entire day at this point. We did get a little bit of a spike right after we got in. So about 200,000 volume total on the entire day when we got into this thing. Not happy with myself for a couple of reasons. One, the fact that we even got into it. Should have never been in this. I don't like trading things with absolutely no volume. There was really no pop to it in my eyes. It was just kind of like grinding higher. And then after it tried to come down and break our average so many times, it started to move higher. Now, I have Bookmap up over on my screen, just moved over. So I had this up and I noticed that there was a big pool of liquidity sitting at like 935. So it was right above the high day. It was sitting there. And so I told myself, if it comes up there and stops, I'm going to get an ad looking for it to reject that. And then hopefully we can get the move back down and, it can scale out, etc. However, as it started moving up, I hit the button thinking it was still there. I look over and notice that it moved up. So as the price came up towards the highs, the liquidity moved up. So essentially what this is no different than what you would see on level 2, where there's a big block of liquidity and they have no intentions of using it. It's there just to kind of scare people back down, right? So he's trying to prop that there's big liquidity up here and you're not going to get through me. You might as well just take it back down. So after I add, I notice it goes through high of day. I see his liquidity moving up and it's moving up and up and up. And right when I decide to hit the button is because I saw it continuing to move up as the price was going up. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to let this fly up through 950, especially after I added it. It was just dumb. I should have been out of this at 932. But instead, not only did I not cut 100 shares at 932, I ended up cutting 200 shares at 941. So I essentially added to my loss for no given reason other than the fact that I was trusting something that, you shouldn't be trusting. It's not, like I said, I don't use level 2 for this exact reason. And I just got fooled by it on level 4 just because I could see it sitting there. So part of me wants to just take Bookmap down and never use it again because it definitely affected me. But if I am going to use it, I shouldn't be using it in this aspect, right? Where I'm looking to not stop out because of it. If anything, I should be looking to maybe maximize take profits because I don't see any liquidity until 850. So I could maybe hold until then, or look to hold until then kind of thing. Like that's different. If I'm trying to use it to maximize my positions, that's a little different. Or if we're in a position and we're scaling because it's kind of going straight up, I could use it to maybe look for an area that might act as resistance because there's a big liquidity pool sitting there and I can look to possibly add close to it with confidence. But this type of stuff is the exact wrong way to use it. And as you can see, I paid dearly for it because right after we got out, we literally top ticked it. Well, I think it was a penny. 941 was where we got out if it went to 942. But of course it failed right after that and would have ended up being a pretty nice trade had we had stayed in for some silly reason. But I'm more so mad at myself for even getting in to begin with. And so in a way, I feel like I deserved for what happened to happen. Just so that, and to shove it in my face like it did. Like it literally was like, we're going to take as much as we can get from you. And we're going to make you understand that you shouldn't have been in this trade to begin with. So if $35 is all it takes to learn that lesson, I'm okay with it. But now I know, right? So on to what I consider a decent day of trading, minus that. This EPOW came out of a halt. We didn't have many shares on it. So I was taking it on the careful side with the share size. We took 50 shares and then it tried to spike. It actually tried to halt. And then the halt price moved. It went up and tried to halt again at 451. We snagged some on the ask of 450 because it was SSR. And this thing was actually pretty nice. It whipped right back down to the downside and gave us all 3 of our fills here, all on the bid. So I was pretty happy with this trade. Next trade was on plug. This one was kind of silly. It did try to go higher, but as you can see, pretty nice extension up through 27, got up to a pretty key area, that 27.20. You guys know I love those 20 cents through the key areas. Got a decent little pullback here from 27.22 to a little under 27. Took ours off at 27.02 for half of it, started to climb back up, took the rest off break even, and it did go high of day by a couple cents, but it ended up being a fake out breakout. And it climbed down for quite a bit, but then ultimately it did end up going higher the rest of the day. Next trade, I believe, was on BAX. Yep, BAX. Pretty decent one here. Pretty big move, volume out of nowhere, kind of on a higher priced move. This one, I remember I accidentally started this with too many shares. If you look really closely, you can see there's 2 red arrows here. So I was trying to short the ask because the spread on this was really bad. And so I had some shares out at 56.24. Yeah, 56.24. And I was hitting the short the ask button, trying to get filled. And as I hit it, it filled my other order, because when I hit short ask, it cancels my current order and puts a new one out on the ask. But what happened is it filled that order, and then I hit short ask, and so it filled that order right away as well because it was moving up. So I ended up with 100 shares of this instead of 50, and it decided to go up right after we got those shares, and it started to come down to 56.20 a couple times. Like it was like right at our average, and it wouldn't go down any further. So we were hanging on, and it shoots up. So at this point, I'm like, all right, well, I'm committed to the trade. I'm just going to act like 100 was supposed to be my starter. We add another 100, comes back down. We take off 150 here. It goes back up. So we have 50 shares left. We add those 50 back, and then we scale them out on the way down, because I didn't like the way this was trading. It kept getting bought up. Every time it dropped, it kept getting bought right back up. And as you can see, this one decided to grind higher pretty much all day. So decent trade considering. Can't really complain too much. And then our last trade was on RETA, RETA. This one was a bit frustrating. I don't mind the first entry here. We're obviously looking for a bit more out of it. On this first move, you can see it did come down to 26.19. I think we had our order down at 26. I'm not sure. Ends up going higher, starts to grind its way higher. As it makes this move, I actually thought about cutting it here. I was like, I'll see what it does at high of day, because we're really small share size. I can afford to see if it wants to squeeze, especially because we didn't have any kind of a real pullback yet. And as it went through and started to come down, I hit the ask at 54 or something like that, hit the ask at 40, hit the ask at 32. And once it got down into the 20s, I kept trying to chase the ask because the spread was like 30 cents. So at no point did I want to pay the spread, but had I paid the spread the very first time, I guess I still would have been filled at like 20, in the 20s or something like that. But once it got down to 20, it was flirting, like the bid was under 27. And I was like, well, I'm not going to sit here and mess with it anymore. I'm not going to get to add that close to my average. So unfortunately we didn't get the ad up there. And when it came down below our average, just took the small win and was done with it. So that's all I got. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I always appreciate that support. If you do have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below, or you can ask me live during my YouTube live stream. I'm there 9:15 to 12 o'clock every single day Eastern. And if you have any questions outside of those hours, I'll be in Discord or over on Twitter. And that's all I got. So I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.